Okay. Hello, YouTube. This is Chojo the Destroyer, and we're gonna watch Internet Historian Too Fancy, Too Furious Wine. I got suggested this, sent this, whatever, because my Modern Marvel stuff. So we're gonna see how this goes. Grab your snackies, grab your bevies. Let me know what you're eating or drinking down below. Let's get to watching. Okay, hold up. This video meets the criteria of legal fair use and those of YouTube's guidelines. No citation or example media herein constitutes infringement under the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. The following is satire and journalistic in nature. All images and media have been sourced from places of public record, and a special care has been taken to censor names and faces, I guess. Names, faces, that should not be a period. Okay, typo. That confused me. I'm a little... Once again, still recovering, so still a little out of it. So sorry. Specific locations, record, and personal information of those featured to protect their privacy. Not a fan of the Oxford comma, I see. Names of individuals mentioned in this video meet the criteria of public figures. Regardless, care has still been taken to omit any irrelevant information. What am I about to learn? Feel free to react to these videos, but please wait 48 hours from initial upload date before re-uploading to YouTube. Okay, can do. The following is not an endorsement, invitation, or condoning of harassment toward the individuals featured in this video. What am I about to experience?
Give me a little.
What?
Fella, I want to tell you a secret. I'm just like you. We're both down here in the dirt. Mine just happens to be imported.
What? What? Oh,
you
my God.
are fighting in traffic, and I am fighting charges of trafficking. We're so similar.
Oh.
You're working a 9-to-5 job, and I am having to look at that.
Oh my, holy shit.
We're both going through it. So don't hate me. I'm not the problem. It's the wine snobs. They're the ones that look down on you. And
What is
frankly,
happening?
I don't blame him.
Gas.
No, he's learning. Listen, let me pull you up by your bootstraps. What if I made you my little Pygmalion? That's a reference that you wouldn't get. You know what? Perhaps I shall make a series of videos that will give you some sort of clue about fancy things.
Maybe.
Yes, that's what I'll do. Something to give you just enough information to bluff your way through a fancy dinner.
Did you know that Da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa?
Somebody had to hold open the gates for the barbarians. Why not me? So let's do it. Let's look at wine. The Mountain Dew of upper society.
The Mountain Dew of upper society. Holy shit. Oh.
With wine, there is only one rule. Kill or be killed. And if you want to survive the night, here are 6 things you should know about wine.
This seems aggressive.
To you muggles, the words on these bottles must seem like a mystery.
Pie not no ire?
But us landlords, we,
Fine.
the pink Himalayan salt of the earth, we know what they mean. They are grape names. Look upon this grapevine. It makes grape berries. Now, there are many different species of grape berry. And whatever the berry species is will determine the type of wine.
Are grapes berries? Like, what? They are? I just learned something. Hi, Hawk. I didn't know that. All
This
right.
is Chardonnay, so it will make Chardonnay. Merlot grapes, they make Merlot wine.
Technically, it's a little more complicated than this because many wines are blends, i.e. made from more than one type of grape, but it's 99% true.
Grape names are mostly French. Gross. But for example, in English,
That nonchalant. Gross. I'm sorry.
Pinot Noir means black pine, because it kinda looks like a black pine cone if you squint.
Okay.
Here's some of the other names. You can pause it. I'm busy. Wine grapes are not like the kind you get at the supermarket. Those are table grapes. You can think of it kind of like the different...
The sound of quote unquote eating grapes. I didn't like that.
between cooking chocolate and regular chocolate. You can eat them, ugh, but they're overly sugary and kind of full of seeds and just not as nice to snack on. So the grape type is the main word on the bottle, but sometimes there are other words as well.
How dare.
For example, this Bourgogne. What the hell is a Chablis? It's all regions.
Chablis.
Allow me to explain through the medium of song.
Oh, good.
There's Chianti and Piedmont, and also there's Burgundy. Don't forget Chablis Bordeaux. This one's from Italy, this one's from Italy, this one's from France, this one's from France, this one's from France, this one's from France. They're all from France. We're Italy. Look, the general rule is, if you see a term you don't understand, it's probably just the French or the Italians being all la-dee-da about their particular region. All right, let's move on to price. Come on,
Okay.
I know a place.
Do you know a place?
We're here.
Oh,
I can
good.
tell by the name on the sign.
Liquor.
Don't embarrass me, I didn't bring my ID. Fiddle-TD, look at all these bottles. So many options. Ooh, a cheeky $200 bottle. And here, a $20 bottle. Now, I
Jesus
bet this
Christ.
$200 bottle tastes way better, right? Like it's got to be 10 times better than this one. That's just
Red
basic
eye.
math. Go on, though. You choose one. Oh, no. Well, it was supposed to be a trick question, but they both taste pretty similar, right? There's not some threshold that you get to where it gets more expensive, and then it tastes better, and then more expensive again, and it tastes even better, until it gets so expensive and so incredible that it's like nothing you've ever had before. Break through the conditioning. This is just old grape juice.
Welch's.
Now, if you're a little...
I have some Welch's because I went to Publix and they had actual small bottles of grape juice. I can't deal with the giant bottles of grape juice. I don't want that much grape juice, okay? It's a little tart and I want it in small increments. So I was able to get an individual small bottle. So I have some.
little bi-curious about a more expensive bottle, sure, why not?
Gold letters grace the label, hand engraved by goldsmiths. Famed wine critic described the taste as mind-boggling.
But realistically, after about $60, the flavor doesn't get much better. In fact, it plateaus out and it can even go down.
Source, I made it up. Also, do more expensive wines taste better? Goldstein R et al. Evidence from a large sample of blind taste tests, American Association of Wine Economists. Wine prices and quality ratings, a meta-regression analysis. I cannot say that name or that name.
The best quality to price ratio is all...
I shop for food in the kitty aisle. Listen, I got food anxiety. It's fine. Actually, this is entirely off the subject. I'm so sorry. Having a conversation with Ray the other day, and by the other day, I mean earlier today, about like... So I went to a place, it had purple rice. Purple rice is a thing. And I was fine. And he was like, I was concerned that you wouldn't be able to eat it. And I was like, no, it's fine. Because it was like an authentic Korean place or whatever. And I was like, no, it's fine. It just tasted. And he's like, sometimes you get really weird about colored foods. And I'm like, yeah. He's like if I gave you a purple chicken nugget and I was like, I couldn't eat a purple chicken nugget, you've done something wrong. My brain recognizes that as poison and I can't eat it. Like, so if you give me food that is normally not colored in a weird, funky color and it is not cake, I can't eat it. The vibes are off and I cannot do it. So like, I don't know why, but it is what it is. So. Red velvet. I don't like red velvet cake. I like chocolate cake. Anyway.
All the way over here, much lower, about $20. That's how much you should spend on a bottle of wine. Now,
Okay.
some people will say
that I'm putting my heart and soul into this thing. I'm making a form of art. How much is that worth? How much is art worth?
about $20.
Art is worth the amount of money. Okay, so what I'm about to say makes no sense. It's worth the amount of money, like effort you have put into it, labor you have put into it, and also the amount people are willing to spend on it. It's a diverse pricing. So it is but also art is in the eye of the beholder, kind of. I don't think that's what that saying is. But no, that's beauty. Either way, you know, people view art in different ways. They like different types of art. Does that make sense? Art is beauty sometimes. Sometimes it's not. I'm just like, you know, I lost the thread. Anyway.
But what about the Vintage?
The Vintage.
Well, look at this. A couple of cromulent slender necks. And they're the same price as well. But this one is from 2019, and this one is from 2022. Well, surely the older one is the better one, right? No. Many people think that the wine aging goes like this, and the flavor just keeps getting better over time. Wrong, wrong, wrong! The wine at the store has already been aged at the winery. I don't need to be more aged by sitting on this shelf and just collecting dust.
He put so much effort into this. This is great.
Well, spending years at the back of your pantry at home. If I'm for sale, I'm ready to be consumed. I'm ready to have your hot lips wrapped around me. Oh. In fact, the general rule goes a corked bottle should be drunk within 5 years and a capped bottle within 1 year. Come, there's more. Let's pretend I'm a waiter at a restaurant. You happen to be wearing a shirt, and so I have mistaken you as a paying customer. As a waiter, the first thing I will press you about will be food pairings. White wine with fish? A Merlot with pork? Well, kid, I'm going to have to pair this truth nugget with something you don't want to hear. The food pairing doesn't really matter. It's all completely subjective.
Yeah.
It's cuisine by horoscope.
There are some general guidelines that can be useful, but there are so many exceptions, and it's not all there's so many exceptions, and it's also subjective with this, but no, not that, but sometimes actually yes, this, but it depends on that. Inconsistencies that there's no meaningful distinction between a studied expert and a blind guesser.
Food astrology. Pay no attention to the sommeliers in the comment section. They are bullshitting to upsell.
Get the more expensive one. It goes better with the spaghetti.
Or they are a Pisces and you shouldn't trust their opinion anyway. Something else to expect at a restaurant?
Wow. Are you a Pisces? What's your beef with Pisces? Just wondering. I'm gonna be honest. I don't really pay attention to like that kind of astrology stuff. But I get called out for being a Taurus a lot by like Ricey and Abby. So so like I don't know. If if that means something, someone in the comments let me know, because I don't know. Hey, Reasonable, how's it going? Welcome.
Expect to get ripped off by the markup. Most restaurants add a 250 to 300% markup on their wine.
Jesus.
And the cheaper the bottle, the higher the...
I mean, do they not sell? I mean, I guess some places sell by the bottle, but like, it's by the glass, right? I don't know. I don't buy wine at restaurants or at all, to be 100% with you.
proportional markup tends to be. So a $20 bottle will turn into an $80 bottle,
Yeah,
but
fuck
a
that.
$100 bottle may only rise to $150. Most people get the second cheapest bottle on the menu, regardless of the pairing, and that'll do just fine. And that's it, no more tips. Unless you want to leave me one. Oh? Actually, you know what? I got a fucking tip for you, mate. Ad time.
Okay.
I bet you're wondering how I got this cog in my knee. That's because I became the face of Incogni, the service that helps you be forgotten on the internet. I used to be a humble florist.
Oh, Incognito.
One day we received a
Alright.
shipment of forget-me-nots. But inexplicably I fell in and
What are
ate a bunch
you?
of them.
Why are you
I
like?
forgot everything that day.
the
My
human
address,
equivalent of a
my
Tangela.
web browsing habits, where I worked, what my child's face looked like. I was supposed to pick him up from daycare, so that was kind of embarrassing. I just picked one of the kids that kind of looks like me.
Oui, monsieur.
Close enough. Have you ever signed up for some dodgy website? Have you ever dodged up for a legitimate website and they sell all your details onto a dodgy website? That's where I come in. Incognito.
Okay. Oh, he's forget me not. No, he's like made out of yarn. He's like a yarn man. It's a ghillie suit, sort of, kind of. I could be wrong, but like, I feel like some places do sell by the glass, so they'll just have an open bottle that they pour from. Like, they're not leaving the bottle on the table and then picking it up and reusing it. They give you a glass and you can ask for another glass, I guess.
Man and a nunna boy.
Je ne parle anglais pas.
There are data miners out there, data collectors, creating big servers all around the world. They take your name, your address, and your IP, and together they make a big profile, and that lives forever. I am here to send them annoying legal notices to tell them to fuck off. Take Steve off your database.
Steve, cool
European
guy.
law this, American law that. Go to incogni.com/internet-historian to get 60% off an annual plan. The cog signal. I swoop into the data
I'm
centers.
glad he's
Legal notice.
like laughing
Tangle
at
up the processes
himself.
with admin. Who are you? I don't know. Oh, wait a minute. Inganokni Nam. Go to incogni.com/internet-historian. Ah, Incogni Man. Remember me? Yes.
Why he looking like that though?
Who's the kid?
Je suis très affamé, monsieur, s'il vous plaît.
Whoa, that's a good deal. Ad over. Welcome
Okay.
to the Wine Underground. We have our meetings here because it stays at a very pleasant temperature. You know, us wine masons, we control everything. We are few, but
Is anybody else getting like Archer vibes from this episode? Anybody? And like, it's like, if it was more like his whole body was cartoon, like it would be more, I don't know.
not many. That doesn't make sense. Look at the
Okay,
back
not
of this
just me.
bottle.
Great.
See the No
Love that.
Fat Chicks logo? We put that there. It is
No
the
Fat
symbol of our organization. We have a dirty finger in every glass of government and corporation stuff. If you cross us,
Okay.
whoops, perhaps you'll have a little accident. Last year, Little Upstart tried to make wine actually taste good. You know, like how grape soda does. cut him up so good he had to get stitches. We caught one reporter trying to dig around into our operations. We all know how that one ended. With an airstrike. All right, my little juice box. I'm going to let you in on a secret.
If you ever fucking call me your little juice box. I'm throwing hands.
Why is champagne called champagne?
Champagne.
Well, I'll tell you. It all began in 1668. In the Abbey of St. Peter in northeast France, there's something spooky going on. It's springtime, and in the cellar where they keep all the wine, bottled
Squeeze you like a juice box, fancy man. Listen, juice boxes have straws. You could have made a suck me joke.
would suddenly, unexpectedly, explode. Now this was especially common during morning mass. Ho ho, that's a bad omen. Sometimes the explosions would cause little chain reactions, and bottle after bottle would break down the line.
Parishes were often in charge of producing and storing alcohols for the village, sometimes for ceremonial purposes. For example, the okay, I'm not going to say that right. But also just as a community thing and as a means of controlling the supply of alcohol. I'm sorry, I'm not like Catholic. I don't know. I can't remember the word. Well,
ruining the majority of the crop. The peasants were frightened and also parched.
Sacre Bleu, lay wine. What is happening?
The monks would refer to this as the devil's wine.
Le wine is cursed.
Le God, he must be anger at us. We need a hero.
Anger.
In walks Dom Perignon. He is just the man for the job.
Dom is an honorific. Hold on.
In walks Dom Perignon. He is
His actual name is Pierre Perignon.
Just the man for the job. A Benedictine monk at the abbey. He's got a new role, the cellar master. And it's his mission to find out what the hell is going on here.
Look at him chilling.
So Dom starts looking at all the bottles. And what he figures out pretty quickly is that the wine itself is releasing gas. The gas builds up pressure and why that is happening, he doesn't know. But it's his job to stop it. So he gets to work, trying all sorts of things to stop his mortal enemy. The bubbles.
Okay. All right. Okay.
First year, he tried insisting that only the youngest grapes be picked.
Perhaps this will stop your bubbles.
Nope.
And it didn't. The next year, he changed up how the grapes were pressed.
Push harder, we'll squeeze out the bubbles.
Son of a bitch. He tried picking the grapes very early in the morning and no other time. Nope. And on and on. The bubbles would win the battle every year. For 8 long years, he tried all sorts of different things. And no.
He down there with the soda stream exploding all over. Okay. Okay.
Strategy worked. No, the bubbles. Eventually, he was at the point of almost giving up. Until one day, hey, what if the wine is still fermenting? So he takes a couple of the bottles and he opens them and, it is. We ferment the wine. Once it's done, it goes into the bottle. How does it then start fermenting again? How is that possible? And here the mystery was solved. So it turns out in North France they have very fast changing seasons. And owing to that, the yeast doesn't actually get time to do its job. Instead, it would get cold very quickly in the winter and all the yeast would go dormant. Then the winemakers would go, oh brilliant, fermentation slowed down, it must be done. They would then bottle it and they would store it. But once summer came back around, the process would spring back to life and carbon dioxide would build up and...
Boom.
Okay, he thinks. I cannot change the climate. Perhaps I shall not win the war against the bubbles. Now, the bubbles are his
Embrace
enemy,
him.
and he has another enemy. The English. Therefore, the enemy of his enemy or something. Anyway, he starts talking to the English, and he goes, "Hey, how do you guys stop your bottles from exploding?" And the British go,
"You what, mate? Cool.
Ah, well, dear, welcome. Thanks for the follow.
Well, peep at how thin the bloody glass be in it. Thin glass is the problem. Thank you for using this text-to-speech preview. For a paid version, please go to..."
I hate how that guy's mouth moved.
The English have created new coal-fired bottles with much thicker glass. Then they put a cork in the...
The growth of England's population and industry led King James I to be concerned that the forests would be over-harvested and stripped bare. Imagine. Imagine being worried about that. Okay, that was essentially a problem at the time because it would mean not enough timber for the Navy to make ships. And other things. Also the environment. Anyway, so he passed a law heavily restricting deforestation. Nice. The English then, out of necessity, shifted to using coal for its manufacturing processes, which burnt a lot hotter than wood, ideal for glass making. This new tech meant they could make better and sturdier glass bottles.
Top, and it allows them to make very foamy beer. That's right. He could just use thicker bottles and he
It was the 1600s. The environment wasn't invented yet.
won't have to worry about stopping the bubbles at all. So Dom goes running back to France. He's panting, he's sweating, and there's bits of brie on his shirt. He's going, better bottles, better bottles. Everyone's confused and terrified, but they give it a shot. And there it was. The people of France loved it.
I love this new style.
Even the French royals were enjoying new wine, TM. He even started adding extra yeast and sugar to really get the bubbles going. And so Dom Perignon had created what we call today champagne. Now, there's a 19th century marketing campaign that says the moment he uncorked his champagne for the first time, he tried it and said, come quickly, I am tasting the stars." But that's actually a myth. He never really said that.
Myth busted.
There's still a problem. And this one, Dom cannot fix. The pulp. If you bottle wine while it's still fermenting, so that you can keep the bubbles in, you're also trapping in a bunch of dead yeast and debris and gross particles too. Also, it's all cloudy. No, we want it clear. We want it crystal looking. How will we ever solve this problem? Dom dies.
Well,
1805, in walks Madame Clicquot. She's just the man for the job.
I'm also French. I have come to remove all the little beets. I will clench my teeth together and go pitu back into the bottle.
Now, Madame Clicquot was a very shrewd lady. Her husband died when she was in her early 20s.
My husband is dead. Lol.
And part of the estate she was bequeathed included a winery. She immediately got to work, making it into a successful business.
I shall invent a process called lay riddling.
Here's what you do, right? You put these bottles on a...
how much am I going to hate this information?
rack at a 35-degree angle with the top facing down.
Yeah.
Every 2 days, she would give the bottle...
Fun fact, wine and stuff is laid on its side. Things with corks are laid on its side so that the moisture of the liquid keeps the cork kind of moist. Because, drying... to seal the bottle, basically. Because if the cork dries out, it shrinks. So, yeah.
A little shake and slightly increase the ankle. After 8 to 10 weeks, all of the sediment would come to rest in the neck of the bottle. Right, quick tangent. Did you know that when you increase the salt concentration in water, you can drop its temperature down much lower without it freezing?
Yes.
Tangent over. So she takes this sub-zero salt water and dips the neck of the bottle in there. Then
Hi,
lets
welcome.
it sit until the neck freezes. Now you have a sort of...
Technically, she did not invent this part of the process. That came later. Riddling is just the tipping upside down bit. Okay, thank God, because she was talking about spitting earlier, and I just...
frozen cork filled with all of the gross pulp, and then you simply pop off the top. And the whole thing goes shooting out as a fun prank for your friends and family. Then they add in a little more extra base wine and sugar, and leave it to age. And with that, Clicquot has just created a clear, sparkling wine. And that is Ridley. And Madame Clicquot is...
Riddler.
So Dom Perignon and Madame Clicquot are both credited as the godfather and godmother of champagne. Today, the Dom and Clique brands are owned by LVMH, the same parent company that owns Louis Vuitton, Tag Heuer, Tiffany & Co., Hennessy. Actually, pretty much every luxury brand.
Hermes. I mean, I'm looking at this as if I can make up forever benefit. Fendi, Dior, Bulgari, Sephora. All right. Good for them, I guess. Like, dang.
But why is it called champagne? Well, that's because it comes from the Champagne region, you dummy. And anything else with bubbles?
Sparkling wine is the higher order item, so champagne is a type of sparkling wine. There are many other different types of sparkling wine, Prosecco probably being the most notable. Although its production process is different, as instead of being fermented in the bottle, the wine is fermented in highly pressure-resistant metal casks. She also arguably invented the rosé. Also, many of these first champagnes were made using red wine grapes.
Is just sparkling wine.
End of part. Okay.
Oh, it's you. I was just...
I don't know why that felt not necessarily aggressive, but it felt like he was coming at me a little bit, like, back up. All right.
Looking out over the sunset. You know how it is. Thinking about stuff that happened in the past. I remember it all too well.
Imagine staring out at the sunset and thinking. You're not vibing. You're not just in the moment. Just little loading thing in your brain, like just a little loading. What's it called? The circle. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway.
It was literally 1984.
Manic
I was
Raccoon, hi,
walking
how's it
home
going?
with my
Buffering.
parents from the opera.
Come on, keep up. We're nearly there.
Hey, let's take a little shortcut, they said.
I'm sorry, you Batman now?
We were walking down a well-lit alleyway. It was nothing but quaint restaurants and bistros. Then suddenly, a man holding a bottle of Shiraz came out of nowhere. Just a tipple, he said. I was terrified. I knew nothing about wine. Go on, he said. My hands were shaking, knees weak, arms heavy. Complex aroma, wouldn't you say? Ooh, very good tannins. Oh, really? Yep.
Yep.
What's a tannin? I don't know. My parents died from embarrassment right there on the spot.
I'm sorry, Daddy.
Just a tipple.
Throbber? All right.
It's too late for
Abby.
me, but I don't want the same thing to happen to you. That's why we have to learn about
how to survive. That's nice. So straight up, I'm just like, first of all, I'm obviously not upper crust really, but even then I just be like, hey, I don't drink wine. I will have a water. I have been in situations where everyone else is drinking wine and I'm just like, hi, thank you. I would like a water. Like, just, it's fine.
how to serve wine.
I don't even care if it's rude.
So you've bought a bottle of wine to show your friends and family how successful and sophisticated you are. Did you know that Da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa? So let's go through how
Have
to
a good night.
serve the big three. White, red, and champagne. Let's say you've bought champagne.
Oh!
That bottle goes in the fridge. Champagne is served cold always. To open, peel off the foil and do not aim it at your face. Then twist off the metal thing. If you want people to think you're fancy, use the proper word, muselet.
Muselet.
It helps to contain the pressure. Again, don't aim this thing at your face. It's really worth repeating.
I need them to stop doing that.
The PSI inside a champagne bottle is 70 to 90. That
What is the tea versus coffee debate? I only drink sweet. I do not drink coffee and I don't drink hot tea. I only drink sweet iced tea. So, sure. I don't know.
puts it in the same league as a nail gun. Is
okay,
70
hold on.
to 90.
More measurements. On average, champagne has a pressure around 5.5 to 6 bar. If you were scuba diving and the equivalent pressure surfacing would give you the bends. Which one is better in the morning to wake up? I drink like sodas more often than not. I mean, lately I've been drinking water, but
That puts it in the same
sweet tea, first of all, is an anytime drink. You cannot change my mind.
league as a
Of course, it is not as dangerous as a nail gun. Nail guns compress the air into a very fine point and have a sharp projectile. We're trying to give a point of reference.
nail gun. So the cork comes out at about 50 miles an hour. And if you're in a
Jesus.
house, you want to hold onto it very firmly with your hand. If you're Bezos, or you just won the Grand Prix, fling it over some ladies. But if you want to be really fancy, you can use a sword. This has been a tradition for a couple hundred years, popularized by Napoleon. After each victory, the army would use their sabers to crack one open for the boys. But the sword's just ceremonial. You can use pretty much any blunt object to knock off the top. A phone, a shoe, this fish head. If it's cold, it shouldn't fizz over too much, but you might want to have someone on the side with a ready glass. The glass type should either be a tulip or a flute. Although,
What did that say?
the glass but you might want to have someone on the side with a ready glass.
It's really fast.
The
with
glass
these, huh?
type should either be a tulip
Dutch people be like, bye, bye, bye.
or a flute. Although, if you've seen The Great Gatsby, you may notice that they use these. Up until the mid-1900s, people used coupes. That's because, back in the day, excessive effervescence wasn't very cool.
First to the
So
fizz.
these cups helped actually dispel
People didn't want to be embarrassed by burping in a social situation. I get that.
the bubbles faster. In fact, sometimes they'd even use a small whisk or a fork to dissipate all the bubbles. Now, there's actually an old myth that the shape and size of the coupe was molded from one of Marie Antoinette's buboes. But it's probably not true. Eventually, bubbles became a fancy feature, so the flute was adopted. They can be made from glass, but preferably they're made from crystal, so that they
Crystal is a special type of glass made with added minerals baked in. Traditionally, the additive was lead oxide. The additives give the glass more strength, allowing them to be made thinner than regular glass. It also makes them slightly porous, giving extra sparkle.
shimmer as much as possible. And the best flutes would
I mean, he's drinking milk out of a glass. I don't know if I necessarily missed it or just decided not to take it.
also feature a small rough spot right there at the center of the glass at the bottom to create a sort of tornado of bubbles. Anyway, as you pour, tilt sideways so it isn't all head, and don't pour more than 2/3 full. Done. White wine. White wine is best served chilled too. 10 to 15 degrees though, not fridge cold.
The fridge is usually around 39 degrees Fahrenheit, 4 degrees Celsius, but you can serve it this cold too. Narrator's just speaking about best practices.
Use a small glass bowl and pour to about half full. And when you drink, do a little sniff test
glass
and,
bowl.
aerate it a bit. Then hold it down low on the stem so your hands don't heat up the liquid. If it's not to your taste, cut it with 50% Sprite and add a few ice cubes. Done. Reds.
Okay.
Red wine is not chilled. It is served at room temperature. When you
Strictly speaking, it's cellar temperature, so it's more like 61 to 64 degrees Fahrenheit, 16 to 18 degrees Celsius. But that's a bit nitpicky. Also, even more strictly speaking, there are distinctions by the types of red served. Pinot Noir is served at 13 to 55, but almost nobody bothers being this precise.
First open it, you're supposed to let it sit for a while to oxidize. That gives it more flavor.
Oxidize.
Although if you don't want to wait, you can just pour it into a decanter. That does the same thing.
The decanter oxidizes the wine, but technically its main purpose is to decant. Red wine, especially the aged stuff, has solids that either haven't been filtered out or have dissolved into the liquid. Over time, these precipitate out, and you get a bunch of grit at the bottom of the bottle. The decanter lets you pour the wine out easily so the grit doesn't make it into your cup.
To drink from, we want a big bowl on a stick. So you get a full face of the aromas of the grape blood. When you pour the thing, fill it about 1/3 full. That's pretty much it. However, when it comes to wine snobbery, red wine snobbery is at the top.
Red wine snobbery. There's a kind of unusual aftertaste to this wine the world must know. Tasty sodas with full cane sugar are sugar-free, but with only mild fizz. Snacks alternate between salty and sweet. Air conditioning, cold enough for a long shirt, but not so cold. Okay.
Of the Maslow hierarchy.
Crushed white rock. It's like almost like a rock quarry.
Oh my God, shut up. And there's a taste test. Thing that people do, and it'll go a bit mental, and it's kind of gross, and it looks dumb. But if you think you're ready for the ultimate test.
You want to know about my favorite alcohol? Okay, this is what you got to do. You got to get Grapico. It's going to be hard to get it unless you live in Alabama. You can get it online. It's going to be expensive. Grapico. It is a grape soda. It's a sparkling grape soda. It tastes like purple, okay? So you need Grapico and you need green grape shoju. You can substitute the green grape shoju. Soju is like a Korean alcohol. You can substitute it with regular shoju, but you're gonna have to use less shoju if you do this. Green grape shoju, right? Okay, you mix the Grapico and the green grape shoju 50-50. Mix it in glass 50-50. It tastes like purple. It's amazing. That's my drink. If you can't get green grape shoju, which is wild because every Asian market usually that has shoju usually has green grape shoju as well. Or if they have any of the flavors of shoju, they generally at least have green grape as well. But if you can only get like original flavor or like non-flavored shoju, that's fine. Do a more like a 60-40 mix as opposed to a 50-50. Anyway, I call it like my purple bullshit drink or the poison. But yeah, it tastes like purple. It's really good.
Ready to take the one-chip challenge of enology? Then here's how you do it. When the waiter comes over...
right, the poison for Cusco. The poison chosen specially to kill Cusco. Cusco's poison.
Yeah. Literally. I got my mom to try it at I want to say a Christmas or Thanksgiving, and she was like, "Oh, that's dangerous." And I was like, "Yeah. You can't taste the alcohol. Just tastes like purple." Anyway, it's good.
Insist on taking a teensy sample. Inspect for color, clarity, and legs. Legs refers to how viscous the wine is.
More specifically, how the liquid clings to the
Smell
side of
it.
glass.
Smells like a red wine. Swirl it around on the table, making a loud scratching noise, so that everyone knows you're a connoisseur.
Swirling the wine glass is almost like turning up the volume on the stereo.
When you taste it, you're supposed to get it over every part of your mouth, so that when you brush your teeth later, it's awful. Then take
It's awful.
big sips of air. This is where you comment on the texture and taste.
I'ma be just 100% with you. Second side, hi, thanks for the follow. This seems like too much work just to enjoy a drink. Like, maybe that's just me. I'm like lazy. I don't know. This seems like a lot. It's just, I don't know. You do drink wine often. This sounds exhausting. That's how I feel. Like, I just, it just seems like a lot.
Complex notes! You yell across the room. Now this is the best part. You can just make shit up about vanilla smatterings or citrusy undercurrents. I swear, there's a hint of blueberry. It's one of those things that's...
Wines do vary a lot in flavor and have many different subtle tastes that people are able to pick out. These are reactive aromatic compounds brought about through the sugar content of the grape, type of grape, soil, climate, acidity, method of fermentation, as well as a secondary fermentation process called malolactic fermentation. I said that wrong. Which shapes the texture of the wine. To boot, woody compounds that leach into the mixture too. For example, from aging in an oak barrel. There are no artificial flavors added. If there were chocolatey notes, that's owing to there being reactive compounds in the wine mixture appearing there organically. Wine, through its production, is able to bring about traces of these, but just a hint of them, not really a real flavor as such. This is... Wow, okay.
Kinda true, but subjective enough that no one can really refute you. So make a big show of it.
There is a little bit of an earthiness, almost a graphite clay note to this.
It's a little bit meaty. It's a little bit sort of rustic.
Okay, if you're like, is meaty, I'm like, is pulpy? It's got some pulp in there? You got some pulp?
There are definitely hints here of Monster Ultra sugar-free.
Monster Ultra sugar-free. That's a good one.
This is a taste test, and you're sampling dozens of wines. You want to spit out the sample into the...
If you're testing 100 bottles across the afternoon, this makes a lot of sense. Also, they often have crackers to chew or coffee beans to sniff as a sort of palate cleanse. I mean, the coffee beans thing, they also have that in like a lot of pure perfume shops because like it does kind of like cleanse your olfactory senses, I guess. Sometimes there's also a separate dump bucket, which is used for emptying the rest of the glass rather than spitting.
This gross bucket, so you don't get too drunk. Do not ask the waiter if you can drink from the bucket. It's the waiter's privilege, and he's...
It just gets thrown out, except at very large gatherings like a festival where there might be hundreds of buckets. People are starting to collect it and redistill it into liqueurs. Gross. It's cooked so the germs can't survive, but still gross. Redistill, you're right. I hate that information. I hate that I know that now.
Very protective of it. And that is how to serve wine. Okay, that's a lot of shitting on wine, people.
And we shouldn't get bullied.
But let me do a quick 180. Because overall, wine is good. And a little wine snobbery can be good also. Being into wine is one of the great dad hobbies. One day you will have a model train set in your basement, complete with a little walking path and the grass just right. The best part about this hobby is building the thing, getting it just perfect, and then making people sit there while you explain the little trains in excruciating detail of how they work. Now the fun of Warhammer, that's when you save up for the little space marine man, you take him out of the packet, you put on a podcast with some Warhammer in the background.
Of all the Primarchs, Horus is the best kisser.
And you slowly paint it yourself. And then you argue with your mates later about why the Necrophiles are the best race. There are people that spend like tens of thousands of dollars on coffee machines and equipment. And then it takes like an hour to make a coffee, and it's like only 5% better, maybe, than the ones you get at the cafe. Now I could be Mr. Killjoy and come in and go, what's the point of that? Why not just buy it from the cafe? Why not just get a pre-painted Space Marine? Why not have someone else just install the train set? But then there's no ceremony, there's no fun, there's no hobby. Wine is very similar. The getting a little bit too obsessive about the thing, and being like,
Some lemon zest as well, lemon pith. Super tangy.
Is the purpose of wine. It's the fun of wine, which is why wine is better than just some old grape juice. And you fucking wine.
Me sipping my Welch's grape juice like, it tart. Tarta. Grapey tart.
Wine loser snobs. You know what? You're all right.
Okay.
And that's about it. There's just one last thing left. The practical. Come on, my little nouveau biche. I booked out a whole restaurant. They serve some of the best blue whale caviar here.
The what?
All right, you did it. You sat through the whole video without crying. I think this calls for a toast. Steady now. Whoop.
I don't know why I didn't expect that.
Uh-oh.
I get it in bottles. I don't get it. I don't drink the juice boxes.
Can't believe you killed again. But it's okay. I feel like we're becoming close friends who can keep secrets and stuff. And because we're such close friends, I'm gonna...
If you're fancy, why are you digging this hole yourself? Don't you got a hole digging guy? Rich people got guys to do things. I'm just saying.
Keep teaching you things. That's right. You're gonna be just like me.
I'm gonna have a guy.
I just cannot tell which of this is blood and which wine. By the way, this is the second video. If you haven't seen the first one, which is on Fancy at the Theatre, go look at it over here. But there's also Fancy, the Arts, on Incognito. That's already live, and there's the next Incognito on its way. Do not forget Story Mode. Do not forget Incogni. And do not forget to dream.
I don't like how he said dream at the end there. Made me a little uncomfortable. I don't know why. I think he just... I don't know. That was weird. No, whales don't make caviar. They're mammals. Right? Yeah, they're mammals. They don't lay eggs.